Hi, welcome to our 7th season of Blues Talk. Where again, John, Dave and myself are going to preview the season ahead and have a good old chat for the first time in a few months about rugby. So boys, we had a three game series in the warm-ups. Anyone stand out for you?
It was actually a weird kind of setup, because by the third game you'd expect to be seeing something like Bath were actually. Bath had 15 guys and they brought on regulation number of subs because it was their last warm up.
Yep.
We've our kind of, if you like, warm up preparation has been kind of distorted by the fact we've also got our first competitive match is actually against Treviso, and I think that's going to be our last warm up to a certain extent. I was at all three games and I enjoyed all three. The game in Navan was a great event.
Good crowd there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a brilliant crowd. Lovely little club and set up there. Great coffee, best coffee I've ever tasted in a rugby club.
Wow.
So that was good. The guys who impressed me over all three games, impressed me in each game, was Rory O'Loughlin in particular. I thought that Gary Ringrose looked brilliant on the wing against Bath. He looked really, really good. There's kind of a bit of a bum fight developing at 10. Which we'll probably look into it in a bit more depth in a bit. And we saw the debut of Jamie Gibson Park, who likes to be called JMO apparently.
JMO.
On
Top man.
against Bath, who looked good in his 45-minute cameo.
Sharp pass.
Yeah.
Great pass, and also teamed up well with Mr. Carberry, who is a bit of a revelation. I know he looked good for Clontarf at the end of the season last year and through the season by all accounts, but he has, you probably guess what I'm going to say, he has what all good players have:
Good
time on the ball. He just, the guy is only starting out, he's only just into the academy in fact, but you can see he has time on the ball. He doesn't panic when he gets the ball with guys running at him. He doesn't seem to get flustered, and he always seems to pick out a really good pass, or he's not afraid to either defend or to run at someone. He has a lot of the stuff you can't coach. All the other stuff.
Somebody suggests he's the new Ian Madigan. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And I mean that in both a positive and a negative sense.
Well,
I think every time Carberry has the ball, there's going to be a try. It's just that I'm not 100% certain which end it's going to be at.
I think that's a bit harsh.
Maybe I am being harsh on a young player who's just starting out at this level, but I think that the guy who's playing it out half has to control the game. He has to control himself and he has to control the game.
not back to that old chestnut. Poor Ian Madigan must have that tattoo.
I'm not interested about Ian Madigan. Ian Madigan doesn't play for Leinster anymore. We talk about the top 14 maybe at the end of the show. The guy for me that does all the stuff you said that Carberry does. I think Carberry's a great player. I think he's a really good player. And I think he's maybe a year behind Ross Byrne. I think Ross Byrne does all that stuff, and I think Ross Byrne does it he has a more replicable process.
God, I thought there was a world of difference in watching the two of them.
Really?
Yeah. I did, and I thought that it looked like he was under pressure, like his little grubber through, his kick through when there was no need to do that. It looked like he was trying to impress people because he was feeling the pressure from Carberry.
I don't know if I'd read that into it necessarily, but I would definitely prefer Carberry of the two on that game.
Which game are you talking about now? The Bath game?
Yeah.
Bath game.
Oh, sure. Ross Byrne was only on for what?
Wasn't
10
that
minutes?
long, that's
yeah.
true.
I think one thing we've seen is that I think the two of them have leapfrogged Cathal Marsh, who I think.
Sadly, that's the one thing Cathal Marsh doesn't seem to have his time on the ball.
Yeah.
When he gets the ball, he seems to
He
play.
doesn't impose himself on the game at all.
The game that he kind of blew up in was the match against Wasps over in Coventry.
Yeah,
and
Scarlets as well.
Well, he had an opportunity. That was the biggest game.
Well, that was Ross Byrne actually. Scarlets away. People forget it was Ross Byrne. Scarlets away, and it's actually Marsh. As I was reminded during the week,
there,
Marsh came on as a substitute and did do well in that game. In fairness to him.
Yeah, but if you remember the Heineken or the European Cup match, that was, he was thrown into the fire there. He needed a big performance and he didn't. And the team underperformed that day as well massively, but he had an opportunity and he certainly didn't grab it.
He always seems to look like he wants to ship the ball, and the opposition read it very quickly, and they know he's going to just pass.
Irish Underage Rugby asks, who do we like for backup 10? And this is kind of what we're talking about, because it is going to be backup 10. I mean, when Johnny Sexton's fit, Johnny Sexton plays. I think Marsh has been unfortunate in that he's
wouldn't write him off,
Any
though.
games he's got have been in a pretty dysfunctional team. I mean, Leinster over the last, we say, 18 to 24 months has been, a bit, all over the shop. So, I mean, it hasn't been easy for him as a young player with not a huge amount of big time experience coming in. So that has to be borne in mind before we kind of do the guy down. One thing, but as I say, I mean, I've watched games where he's played and he's played pretty well, but I have never said, oh, that's a real Cathal Marsh performance, because I don't know what a real Cathal Marsh performance is.
I suppose, yeah. He looked kind of underdeveloped when he started in the academy. That's 3-4 years ago now. But he seemed to come good there in the middle of his tenure in the academy. But I just think he hasn't kicked on. He's maybe he will. Maybe he will.
I'm wondering.
I wouldn't like to write a guy
I'm
that
wondering,
young
is
off,
there a
but-
distorting effect on the British caused by the British and Irish Cup? That we see a lot of younger players playing in, and they look really good. Is that competition actually any good?
Hard to know because
We've seen guys,
the
we've seen guys
championship
like
teams aren't that
Darren
interested.
Woodson and Sam Coughlin Murray look like stars at the British and Irish Cup, and they can't get arrested in the championship.
Well,
You know?
But they're playing against a bunch of glorified amateurs.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And they
wondering.
are professional athletes, in an academy where all they do all week is train, lift weights, and play a bit of rugby. And when
Go
you're up
to
against
college.
lads, I go to college, but when you're up against lads playing for Rotherham and so on, who I'm sure there's a lot of semi-pro guys there, that are struggling to balance between.
Work-life balance.
There you go. I mean, it is.
yeah,
but anyway,
also they wouldn't try as hard in the BNI Cup as they would in the championship anyway. I mean, it'd be the second.
Yeah, it's just I think it
competition,
has skewed people's perceptions of a lot of younger players. That has led to unfair expectations of those players that they mightn't be able to deliver upon immediately. Like, for example, Cathal Marsh. Cathal Marsh looked like, we saw him in the final that time in the British and Irish Cup, and he looked like a prince of out halves. He was superb. But he hasn't really got to that level since, or what appeared to be that level since. And maybe that's because we have unfair expectations, because we don't have a realistic opinion of the level of the competition.
There's an enormous gap between. I mean, we saw him play in that final, and then we saw him play the next big game he played in was in the Ricoh Stadium, and he looked like a very bog standard club player. That just didn't look like he could make. Was
I
ever
think
going to make it.
maybe that's it. Maybe it's just teams like that.
But then Wasps are an exceptionally
blitz
good
defence.
team.
They were a very, very good team.
all of that stuff, they're up in your face, and any team that's up in your face, maybe he doesn't shine as much when he's he can't get flat enough to the game line.
Maybe we had basically just unrealistic expectations of him too early in his career, and that we're not. I mean, for all we know, the Cathal Marsh story is only in its first chapter. But it does look like he's been leapfrogged by both Byrne and Carberry. Carberry, I thought was
because he had a season of injury last year.
yeah, he did.
He didn't play.
I thought he was excellent against Ulster. I really thought he was really good
missed
against
that one.
Ulster.
They deliberately played that while I was on holiday.
The cheek of them.
Well, we spoke about the
But
out halves,
conversely, I thought Carberry was very, very good in the start he got, which was against Bath. So, and that would have been a higher standard game against
Absolutely.
a more intense opponent. So,
but one guy
That was their first team.
One guy
pretty
that
much.
did impress in that Ulster match as well was Rory O'Loughlin. And I never heard of him really before. And my God, he just that was one performance that I just thought he just grabbed that game by the scruff of the neck and he said, I've just arrived. Pick me.
yeah.
I'm here. Yeah, he's been in the academy a couple of years. It just hasn't. He's played BNI, I think. Had a few injuries
We've seen him in
himself.
all 3 pre-season friendlies now, and I've been impressed with him in every single one of them. I have
He
to.
played 12 and
Yeah.
as well as 13. So it'll be very good to have a guy who can play both centre positions because usually they play one or the other.
And another guy I was impressed with actually, and he's a guy who was kind of playing for a contract, was Barry Daly on the wing, and I thought he's done.
He was good,
I think
yeah.
he's done very, very well.
Gloucester game, I think I saw him.
Yeah.
He was.
Well, we had the European draw there during the summer, and we had a lot of that had to wait a while until they announced the fixtures. We got a nice enough draw.
Did okay. out of
Wasn't
it.
bad.
Yeah.
Wasn't bad. If we can live up to it now, is the next thing.
Like, we've got obviously 2 French teams, obviously not walkovers, but
Montpellier, very tough team.
Yeah.
They're just
Because there's
full of South Africans.
there's no French in it. That's the big problem. They're not going to be. They're not going to do the whole it's Europe, we don't care kind of thing.
But the other side of that
Unless
is
they're, unless they're dropped.
they
and
could
there's
actually
there's a
be-
bunch of young fellas.
well, they
and
could
they're-
actually be penalised. There's regulations allegedly
Yeah, there's big
coming
changes
in.
to the J5
in
coming in,
France,
all right. Yeah,
so-
France have got significant issues down that road. Sure, Murad Boujlal is running for president and everything. The fun and games are beginning.
God bless him.
And we've got Saints then in the Viva over Christmas.
Yeah.
I always like to have a good proper English club like Saints or Bath or Leicester. It's always nice to see them in town. It's just one for the old lads like us, you know.
Yeah, well, they could go
Remember
either
watching
way.
rugby special on a Sunday. Saints playing in front of that hedge. Remember that hedge they used to have down the side of the pitch?
Didn't they get bet by Ulster there last week?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And it was their first team as well, beaten by Charles Piatel
Beaten by
and
Charles
a few
Piatel and
mates.
14 other blokes.
Well, Ulster got a particular. If you're a fan, they got a lovely draw: Exeter, Clermont, and Bordeaux.
Nice
Not
nice
bad.
trips,
Well,
all right.
yeah.
Off to see Ian Madigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my Ulster buddies has already been over sussing out the land for his summer holidays.
Very nice.
And speaking of Ian Madigan, he's been playing very well in his first two games as well. They love him apparently. He's going to be a rugby god in Bordeaux if he keeps it up. So be great. Be the making of him. I'd love to see him have a good couple of years there and come back the returning hero. But anyway, let's not get too sidetracked into the French rugby.
So we kick off our season on Friday against Treviso, and as we kind of mentioned, we still have quite a few lads on the on the physios table. Sexo's out, O'Brien, Ruddock, Carney, Strauss, Henshaw.
Jack Conan is out again for an extended period. He's had a different injury to the same ankle,
Ouch.
so he is out for an extended period of time, at least 8 weeks.
Has he got skinny ankles or something?
I don't know, but he's a huge loss. Because somebody asked a question. Ashton Gurnan asked who impressed us most in the pre-season games, and he was one of the guys actually played really, really well. He's a very, very good player. I don't know what the situation is. Jordy Murphy available for these, or is he South African quarantined
I
still?
think that the story is that the guys who got the least minutes in South Africa could be actually available for
Because
this.
our most senior fit number 8 is Dan Levy. As things stand, he is the most experienced number 8 available to Leinster.
Looked like Van der Fleer was playing 8 last week.
Yeah, but he's not really a number 8 though. He's a 7 playing it. I mean, Dan Levy is a number 8. That's the point I'm making. I mean, we're stuck for guys.
Thought Dan Levy was
He
a
played
7.
an awful lot of 8 for the under 20s. Oh yeah, but we're stuck for an 8. Unless there's Pater Timmins is there as well.
Yeah. Haven't seen Max Deegan yet. He's been on what's the word? He's been rested because of his, and I think he's injured as well on the piss. Yeah.
No, he's horrors to combat.
Because we've seen
Porter a lot.
an awful
Yeah.
lot.
I have a feeling we'll see him again. I mean,
Actually,
I tell
you.
he's a freak, that guy.
Jack McGrath was sitting right behind me at the Bath game, and when Porter got going, you could hear him laughing. He was just laughing because the guy was running through people, and Ruddock as well,
He's a
breaking
big unit, isn't he?
breaking his heart laughing at the way he was just running through people.
He handed Janafoa his ass on a plate in Gloucester.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
anyway.
A couple of scrums on.
Yeah. Janafoa is no muckety muck now.
Yeah.
I don't think he's as committed as he once was.
He's not the man. He's still Janafoa though. I mean, a bad Janafoa is still better than a good Jamie Hagan.
So it was good to see. There was a few other, say, senior international lads that tugged out last weekend. Carney, Keane Healy, Mike McCarthy. Good to see McVan. Good to see Mike McCarthy back. I mean, there was
rumours he might have to retire.
and it was good to see him.
He's a good player. I think Healy probably looked the best. And possibly that's because he hasn't looked well for a while. He looks like
He needed that break, though, and I'm glad that the IRFU chose not to stand him down and to leave him at home. We're talking about Treviso. I mean, a front row of Healy, one of either Byrne or Tracy, and Bent is a formidable front row to have. You won't need number 8 then. You probably wouldn't. No. Would you put Mike McCarthy in behind Bent, and then Rory Maloney in behind Ross Maloney in behind Cian Healy? You've got yourself a fairly formidable front 5 there.
Bit short in the line out though.
Yeah.
Ross Maloney's only a fraction taller than McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean they're not huge, but then if you've got like guys in the back row, you can put them up very high. So the back row will be interesting. I mean, one guy we haven't seen a lot of is Dominic Ryan.
Yeah, I think Ryan could be used at blindside, and you could actually have one of these.
Could see him at
3
8 as
sevens.
well. Could see him at 8 as
You
well.
could see one
I'm
of
not sure he's
these.
the footwork for it.
I'm not saying I've seen him play for 8 for the.
Like Levy and himself and Van der Fleer have all played 7. You could see the whole 3 of them playing in the back row.
Yeah, I could
It'd be an
well
interesting-
imagine that. I mean, unless we get somebody released from camp, I'd say it could well be Ryan 7, or Ryan 6, Van der Fleer 7, and Levy 8, and I'd be relatively happy with that.
Interesting to see Levy and how Levy and Van der Fleer play together, because they're both kind of 7ish.
It's always
So you
interesting.
could see the old Pocock and Hooper thing
For
going,
years,
or
all
who knows?
the talk has been about Levy, and yet you look at all the representative levels up. It's always been Van der Fleer who's got the shirt for one reason or another. Levy's moved to 8, maybe because of Van der Fleer, or he's had injuries. He has had injuries as an age grade player. But you look at despite all the talking about Levy, the guy with the complete set of caps, literally now at this stage, is Van der Fleer. It's interesting the way sometimes it works that way.
Fabulous player though. I mean,
Oh, he is.
I
He's a
saw him
great player,
playing in the Gloucester game. I really noticed him, and it was his first outing of the season. And he just he does everything so well. Like he can cripple you in a tackle. Yeah, and he can run through or around. Or he's got the pace.
He could well be the closest player we've had in a long time to Keith Gleeson.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's a bigger lad than Keith.
Yeah, but
Gleeson,
he'd be of that style of player, I think.
He's got the pace, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as much pace as Keith Gleeson, but he's up there.
So it'd be interesting to see. That would be the pack I would suggest. It would certainly be the pack I'd go for. I don't know about you. But
Halfbacks.
Halfbacks is interesting. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Luke McGrath. Rumours are that he's got a bit of a
He
knock.
has a niggle. He
Yeah.
was sitting with the injured players
Yeah.
at the Gloucester game, all right.
We have seen a lot of Nick McCarthy, and I've been pleased with what I've seen. I'm always pleased. I think he's a very good player.
And Charlie Rock.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried about both the half, like with Boss and Redden going, and then with what looked like very little behind Johnny Sexton. I was a little bit concerned. Now we've got Gibson Park and Luke McGrath in whichever order they stack up, and behind them we've actually got a bit of depth. I wouldn't be. Nick McCarthy was on the bench against Toulon last year, so he's rated to some degree.
I thought he was very good against Gloucester.
I thought he looked really well. I mean, he did score 2 tries, but
But I thought it was general play.
he looked excellent. He looked like an Australian scrum half to me. He looked like one of those Nick
Nick
Phipps?
Farr-Jones.
No,
Nick
I'm
Phipps.
not going back that far. He had a snipe. He had it all. A real complete kind of a player. So between that and we've already discussed the 10s, the Byrne and Carberry and Marsh. We actually have the makings of some good halfbacks. Now we not a huge amount of experience
Yeah,
there.
the problem is it's not shallow, but it is callow.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much so.
That's exactly it, Dave. Well put.
Thank you.
Outside of that,
Yeah,
we've always got a problem.
there's numbers, there's talent. The only problem is there's no experience yet.
We've always got a problem out wide.
Mhm.
Like we've plenty of players, but we've nothing with like
Do you know
real,
one guy-
either real pace.
One guy that I
or
thought
real
was looking pretty sharp was Kirshner.
Yeah.
And he's been filling in at 13 as well. Yeah,
Well, you see, I think we do have there's one guy who I thought was absolutely outstanding, looked like an international quality wing against Bath.
really.
Ringrose.
He's going to be moving in
Well, why? I ask again, why?
because
Why not leave him out in
13
the
is
wing?
his gig.
But does it have to be his gig? If you look at the needs,
If everyone is fit,
yeah.
where does he play? Just say everyone is available, and we're playing in our first European Cup match. You got Henshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to?
Well, it depends which hat you have on. For me, I go, as things stand, right? I go Henshaw, Ringrose, 12, 13.
Yeah.
However, does Joe Smith want Henshaw playing 12 or 13? How intent is he on enforcing that? Does he want Ringrose playing 13 or on the wing? Does he see Ringrose, which I've noticed, and I don't know if anyone else has, and it's maybe just me picking on something out of the ether that's not there, that Ringrose, as a winger, plays very, very similar to Andy Trimble, a young Andy Trimble. All that power, that step, that pace, that just always going forward, always looking for a way to go forward. Do you remember when Trimble was like that when he was younger, before the injuries kind of took slightly the edge off his pace?
Yeah. I think maybe, are they trying to keep him a little bit protected? He's still very young. He's not huge.
He has
And
bulked up a
he
bit, though,
has, but-
noticeably.
He's actually a lot bigger in real life than he looks on the telly, kind of thing.
And it was the other way around last season. I mean, I came out of Donnybrook after one of the games last season, and there was this kid beside me, a little willowy kid with a hoodie on, and I turned around and realised it was Gary Ringwald. And Jesus,
Well,
like,
That's what I mean.
he was really
might have done,
willowy.
he can do a bit of weights during the
No,
summer.
he's not.
But yeah, but he come up against, you know,
Tough though.
a Matt Nanu.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And he's still young. He's still like,
Well, the question is, if you put him, if you say, for example, put him at 13, or sorry, at 14, you put Ringrose at 13, then you've got the age-old problem of who the hell do we play at 12? Because it's all right if rugby was only played in one direction, we all know the answer to the question. But unfortunately, it's not, and that's a big problem for him. And it's a problem that is it over? Can Noel Reid play in a team that sometimes has to defend?
Are you saying he's the Quade Cooper of?
Possibly. He's I mean, you look at all Leinster's best moments last year. They're all
Better tackler than Ian Humphreys.
true. Well, Jesus, I'm a better tackler than Ian Humphries. Miriam Inside is a better tackler than Ian Humphries. There's not. Noel Reid is a wonderful rugby player when we're going forward. Problem
He
is, can he
really
do
is.
it in the other direction? We're not sure. Tom Daly got an awful lot of game time.
Mm.
He's a good
And
footballer.
he's the opposite. He's the truck it up.
Yeah, he's a
type
good
of
footballer.
Big,
But he can also
or Big
kick.
12.
He can also kick and distribute as a second 5'8".
do you think there's?
And then Rory O'Loughlin has played well
I was
enough.
going to say, I was going to mention him.
Yeah.
Do you think he's an option?
He looked better at 13 and 12.
Yeah,
But,
he is a 13 by trade, I think.
but you know, if he can play with 12 on his back, I mean, we're short at 12s more than we are at 13s. You know.
But if you get a situation where, you know, if you have, I mean, one thing that Leinster are, for all that Dave Carney's a very good player and he was in good form when he was fit, and Fergus McFadden's a very redoubtable character, they're not exactly quick. And Ringrose is quick, and we do lack pace.
Yeah,
We
Pace
that's
and
one
power
thing.
out
That's
wide.
one thing we're lacking.
it's a
is pace.
cliche
Yeah.
at this stage.
And I think Ringrose solves a lot of those problems for us, at least in the short term.
Mm.
You know, whether it's the right answer going forward, I don't know.
It's an option at least.
There's too many. Has Noel Reid spent the summer learning how to tackle? If he has, it's a big bonus. Is Ringrose's defensive quality at 13 outweighed by the need for his offensive qualities at 14? Where does Henshaw? There's a lot of don't knows about this season.
I think we're going to have to get used to it. We're not going to get to see Henshaw play a whole load of rugby for us
No,
because
no.
any opportunity we had to see him before the before the autumn
It's
internationals,
all but gone now.
yeah, all but gone. He'll be back he'll be gone. And then we'll see him a couple of matches over Christmas. Then he's gone for the Six Nations. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. We're going to have to function with a 12 and 13 that doesn't include Henshaw for the majority of the matches until after the Six Nations.
Mm-hmm. By which stage he's hopefully not injured and we can have a good run in with.
And hopefully we'll have something to play for.
Yeah. I think we'll be in the mix certainly for the Pro 12 this year. I don't
You'd
think.
hope so. Well,
yeah.
look, we've got the final.
But the one thing we haven't discussed is, and it's sad news about the departure of Kurt McQuilkin.
Yeah.
Mm.
But that does leave us two units down on the coaching team. There's still no skills coach, and now we're losing a defence coach. So that might be an issue. I mean, in terms of, like, we're talking about Noel Reid and his defensive skills. We don't know what the new defensive coach will come in, what pattern he'll have, what he'll want to do. So
I expected that by now we would have announced Andy Farrell was going to step in the interim.
I don't think that's a live option for Ireland. Are coming up to a very big an extra game in the autumn series as well, and a big Six Nations. I don't think Andy
He was only doing that gig in Munster because he was on garden leave.
yeah, he couldn't work for Ireland.
Yeah.
That was why. I mean, that was people thought, oh, he'd come to Leinster. Oh, he'd go up and help Ulster. He couldn't. I mean, he couldn't. That was.
Well, Les Kiss managed to combine defence coach with fecking off to Ulster and coming back and going away, and so I
think-
don't didn't he?
No,
Did he?
no,
No.
no.
I thought he was with Ulster and then he went off back with Ireland for World Cup and then.
No, no, no. He never. He didn't. When he started with Ulster, he started with Neil Doak took over. But anyway, I don't think Farrell is an option anyway because we need somebody full time. I mean,
Oh, absolutely, but just in the very short term.
I
Until
mean,
we get somebody.
I made a comment and I it seemed to grow an awful lot of legs. Was I made a bit of a throwaway comment about Mike Ford, and it grew an awful lot of legs. I don't think it was ever really a realistic option.
Apparently he's been interviewed.
And even though I don't think he's an option, even though he is actually the profile of guy we want.
And he's
I mean,
a defence coach, primarily.
He's talented but damaged.
But would he take that gig?
But that's why that's where the damage part comes
The
in.
damaged part might make him take.
Yeah, he might. He's after his experience with England, after his experience with Bath.
He might do it a season out of the limelight,
Yeah.
or a season or two out of the limelight.
Go
as
away,
a
kind of
defence.
rebuild his reputation, then make another strike. By that time, there could be a job in Leinster available.
Who knows?
So
We shall see.
he would certainly be. I don't think he's a live option for us, though. I really don't. I don't think they're going to go that way with it. It's hard to know, though.
Well, you know, we're into the season now. We know
We still
defence
have,
coach.
we know defence coach. We know skills coach. You know, we're already our head coach is doubling as forwards coach. He is the forwards coach. You know, it's not an ideal situation.
No, we're coaches short of a full deck, all right.
But you know, it is only Treviso, and that's for want of a better phrase. I mean, that's the advantage. It is only technically Treviso.
So it seems that we're going to see Rob Kearney back for the game. Kearney,
Yeah.
McCarthy, and Healy seem to be the guys in the press conference that were trumpeted.
Yeah.
So how we fit the back division, I think Adam Byrne seems to be going to get a run because he played in every single of the 3 fixtures in pre-season.
I think it looks like being a week too soon for Issa.
Yeah, I don't think Issa's going to play, but you know, Adam Byrne, Rob Kearney, who else is going to be in the back 3?
He was.
We're a
I
bit-
should just come back to he was actually taking the backs in some of their drills, and especially their defence drills in the warm up.
Issa.
Issa was, in the Donnybrook last weekend.
Well, I'm sure he's got a coaching future, and hopefully with Leinster. Although I wouldn't mind a little bit of outside blood. I've been saying this for a while. But you know, we are actually a bit skinny on back 3 players. I mean, we've got Kirshner, Rob,
Niall Morris,
Adam Byrne, Niall Morris,
Barry Daly, you mentioned
Barry
earlier.
Daly, yeah.
The possibility of Ringrose in the wing. So who is it? Who out of all those players, who are you going to put?
I would like to see Ringrose and Byrne on the wing,
With Rob Kearney in the middle.
Rob Kearney between them as the wise old head offering pearls of wisdom.
Okay.
Not, you notice I say offering, not dropping. Dropping pearls of wisdom because you don't want anybody dropping anything in the full back.
Or missing.
Or missing pearls of wisdom. And I would like to see in the centres, I would like to see a partnership of, and I know this is never going to happen, and it would probably be more porous than a colander, but still I'd like to see Noel Reid and Rory O'Loughlin as centres. It would
That'd be
certainly be
interesting
fun.
as well. Yeah, I think they are going to, like, it's first out, and I think they are going to, you see their game plan in the pre-season is looking a bit more throw it aroundy. And I think they're going to, this is an ideal game for throw it aroundy. You're at home against the bottom team in the league last season. If you're not going to throw it around, then when the hell are you? And Noel Reid is the man for that, you know. And hopefully they won't have too much. The back row is good though, I think, and obviously their front row
They've
is
had a
good.
shed load of signings. Like I looked at a website today that showed all of the ins and outs of all the different clubs. They've seemed to have swapped probably
The entire squad.
10 or 12 guys
Yeah.
have come and 12 have gone.
They do that every year. Italian clubs do that every year. From what I'm told, the Italian union isn't exactly full up with the contracts for the 2 franchises, and that in a lot of cases they can make more money playing in the Eccellenza than playing for. There's more money playing for Parma than playing for Zebre. So they tend to turn over players an awful lot.
A couple of
No, I
seasons
don't know
ago,
if that's accurate, but that's
a
what I was
load of
saying.
them went off to Leicester. I'd
Yeah.
say 4 went to Leicester.
Yeah.
And that was because there was it was unclear where Treviso even going to play.
That's true enough, yeah.
And the whole thing was set back a couple of years really by all the infighting in European rugby in general. Yeah, I'm just looking at that site you're talking about, and
Cheetah the Baldy's in.
Look at it. Look at the list. 1, 2,
David
3,
Odietti,
4,
that's
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
I
14.
would like Jason's opinion on the winger they signed from
15.
Scarlets.
15 players in.
We'll have to see how he does. Jason will tell us all about him. They signed Tommy Allen as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh,
I'm going to have to revise my selection.
Tangi Takambao.
Taggy Kakabau. Taggy
Okay.
Kakabau.
That's
Anyway,
it.
they actually signed some pretty decent players.
C is a T
Yeah.
in his world.
No, go back up. I mean, you look at the players they signed: Benvenuti, Tommaso Allen, Taggy Kakabau, Taggy Takabau, Tito Tabaldi, David Odietti. Those are good players.
Yeah.
You know.
And they've got one from the Highlanders. Like, the Highlanders are basically the back division of the All Blacks nearly at this stage, you know.
Mm.
Going from a team that won Super Rugby with no international forwards, got bog loads of international backs, and here comes one of them to play for an Italian team. Obviously not one of their shining lights, but even so. But they've got rid of almost as many as they've 15 out.
Yeah, when you look at the
or
guys who are
15
out,
in.
right? They've lost the big guys. They've lost Ntoglia. They've lost Celesi Manu.
Yeah, 13 out.
But
13 out. and
If you
15 in.
look at the net, that's a significant net gain for them. I think in terms of quality in as opposed to quality out.
One guy I noticed that a left Leinster was Tyke Byrne. I think he's gone to Scarlets.
Scarlets,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he didn't actually have a contract with Leinster.
Did not.
It wasn't like we lost him.
No.
I think he wasn't renewed after the World Cup.
Mm.
He was.
Short term.
He got the rest of the season out of it, but he wasn't playing for us this year
Well, in a way,
anyway.
wasn't that kind of what he was? The aim was for him to get a bit of experience, do us a favour during the World Cup. Then he got a berth somewhere else, which is
Yeah.
fair play to him.
Which he did.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't
Come back and haunt us, but
take
yeah.
our line out apart next season when we go to Parky Scarlets.
But fair play to him. But yeah, so that's actually Treviso are actually going to be a considerably tougher assignment than I thought they were because they've signed good players in key positions.
Yeah, I think you wouldn't be taking them too much for granted, but
No.
at the same time,
Yeah, it is true.
let's score 100 tries and hockey them.
Well, just before we go, some other fixtures. Ulster play Dragons at home, so you got to think.
Yeah.
Another 5-pointer.
Yeah. Connacht play Glasgow, which is probably the game.
Tie of the round.
Tie of the round, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great. It's in Sports Ground, I think.
Yeah,
as well,
it
isn't
is, yeah.
That'll be
That'll be a big one.
a replay of. Didn't they play twice? One in the
in
once
the
in
same week,
semi-final.
the last round and then the semi-final.
Yeah, so
Yeah. When the Irish fell out of Glasgow season, big time.
they'll be sick of going to the Sports Ground
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
losing. So
That's 3 games in a row.
Could be.
It is. It's 3 games in a row in the sports ground, isn't it?
yeah,
For them? Yeah.
Yeah.
3 competitive matches.
So
And
we
Munster
shall
play
see.
Scarlets. We mentioned Scarlets
Yeah.
briefly.
We haven't talked much about Munster this year.
Well, look, I mean, they're
They're cursed by injuries.
cursed by injuries, but they're getting an opportunity to we lost Luke with
great
injury.
new coach.
We lost quite a few older guys retired.
Mhm.
Bossy scored a nice try down in
Yeah,
New Zealand
yeah.
for Waikato, was it?
That's right. Yeah.
But there's a substantial amount of experience left during the summer. We have signed, as we mentioned, not the same caliber of people who've left, but there's Munster have had a couple of injuries, and they're allowed to sign fellas to step into the breach while
It's because the IRFU want their £9 million back.
That's true.
They don't
But
want
you know the old thing. If you owe the bank £1,000, you have a problem. If you owe the bank £1 million, they've got a problem.
They've got
And
a
it's the
problem.
same. That's the same thing.
I think that was about Donald Trump that was initially said.
Well, really, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the situation. The IRFU is just going, where the fuck's our money? They're most anxious about the subject of the money.
Yeah, I think they're anxious about having a strong Munster too,
Yeah.
and rightly
Yeah.
so.
But it gave Munster a chance to do what they love. They love signing centre. Oh, Southern Hemisphere centre. Oh, we get to sign one this year as well. Wasn't it great?
Like seriously, they must have had a Southern Hemisphere centre
Every year
for the last
always.
20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've got a Southern Hemisphere, another second row as well to replace Chisholm.
back
Is
like
it-
to
is
Mikey
Chisholm
Mullins.
officially retired?
No, not yet. No.
Um,
Going back to Jason Holland.
Yeah, Mikey
Yeah.
Mullins.
Yeah. Before Reece Ellison. Yeah, they do love it. But Francis Saili was good for them last year. Very unfortunate to get injured. Johnny Holland, there's a lot of talk about it in the media, what the situation is. I don't know if there's any need to go into it here. Tyler Blayendal, is he back? Is he injured?
Apparently he is.
Yeah. But sure, don't they always have old reliable there?
Ian.
Poor old Mr. Keatley. You know, so
But even like
but
they
even
got-
Bill Johnson's injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
you know,
young
they,
star.
and they went out and they got a coach, you know, that was in the running to get the Springboks job, and he brings his own couple of his own crew in with him.
Yeah. He sounds like he's a bit of an operator, so you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he has them doing some interesting stuff. And you know, they could surprise us. I mean, they were the fourth province in the league last season, and they kind of played like the fourth province.
Anthony Foley's allowed to use 12 sentences a week.
And all of them must begin with but you know, he might be invaluable to the new guy as well, and you know his experience.
Yeah, because that's how it works down there.
Well, look, he's not in a position to upset any apple carts. He's got to
Has he seen out his contract?
supply the info, and
Is
you know, yeah, I think he is. Yeah, so he only had another year in it anyway. So,
But you wonder if he's gone at the end of this year.
well, that's the end
That's
of his
it. Yeah,
contract.
that's the end of his contract.
I know, yeah, but if they can just renew it, they could give him another 2 years.
They could.
Well, they'll need somebody to replace Erasmus at the end of the year. After Foley does him
Harsh.
the way he did his predecessor.
Harsh.
Well, his star was on the rise then.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. It's not so much on the wane as sizzling in the pond.
So you know that's Munster. Ulster looked to be the best set of the four Irish.
Another big
teams.
signing. I'm not talking about Peter. They signed what's his face as well.
Could see it.
Yeah.
He's injured, isn't he? He's out
He
for
is.
4 months.
He is, but I still think they're a little bit lacking in the back row, especially without him. I think they have their fragilities.
They,
Yeah,
they lost probably one of their better players last season. He's gone to Cardiff. Nick Williams.
Nick Williams, yeah.
Well, like there's that's the last thing they needed to be losing a back rower, because they seem to have trouble signing one from either us or from they. Maybe that's part of the problem that the IRFU have with us, that we're not sending them one of our prodigious talents in the back row, because they really are stuck there. They're going to be playing Henderson there, I would imagine, in a big game.
They have. I mean, it's one area where they don't bring. I mean, Chris Henry's a very good player, but he's fragile. Wilson is what age is he now? 74, 75.
Yeah.
Dyak is what Dyak is. He's an honest player. I mean,
He's a good player,
he does a
but
good job for you. But
He's a good player, not a great player.
But beyond that, is there anything much else there?
There's your man Sean Reedy, who was capped for Ireland there during
Yeah,
the summer.
yeah.
He's he's not amazing, but he's a good player.
When's Jake Keenan Irish?
Another year, I think.
He's a good player.
He is a good player.
They could move him over.
They move him from Connacht. Yeah, they seem to be able to move fellas from Connacht at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll see how they get on with that. On paper, though, they look like the most improved Irish team. With their signings. So we'll have to see how can they actually wring some silverware out of it.
The problem for
This-
Ulster is
this
at some
season.
stage in the season, in a knockout game, they'll come up against Leinster.
For the umpteenth
I
time.
wouldn't be getting too cocky about it. Like
It doesn't.
it's only a matter of time before
it's like Kerry in Dublin.
It is, but they were very unfortunate when they were rebuilding the stadium that they moved the final to Dublin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If they had to play that final up there, it might have been a different story.
There's nowhere they could have played it that wouldn't have had lunatics coming out of the woodwork left, right, and centre. The only other options were Windsor Park and Caseman
Oh no,
Park.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if that
Oh,
stadium
yeah,
had
yeah,
been built.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It might have been a very different story. Then again, it might not. I mean, they had a European Cup final in their home country. Remember, we still managed to beat them.
Tut, Dave.
you're awful. But I like you.
Anyway, boys, thanks very much as ever, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.